Hey everybody, welcome back. We're here today and we're going to start the big process of cleaning up the backyard after a few months of really not doing anything back here. And through the winter, it's kind of got out of hand, especially with these boxwoods, which I have not trimmed. I usually trim them twice a year. I did not trim them at the end of the spring like I normally do. So clearly they've grown to an enormous size and they really do need a reset. They were here before we moved in. And I'm going to do something that, may or may not work, but I've seen a couple people do this online, and it's going to be pretty severe. Today, I'm going to take these back to underneath the foliage canopy, and I feel like if they do come back, then they're going to be a much more manageable size, and they'll look better in the garden. They're not going to seem so outgrown and out of place. And if they don't come back the way I'm thinking they will, then they can just come out and I can plant something else in their spot. So it's either way, it'll be fine with me. So obviously they're taller than the fence. I know you probably can see the fence in the back there, and I've already done one of them over here. There's 3 different boxwoods. Not too quite sure what the variety is of these boxwoods, but I've trimmed them in past videos before. I've had a little bit of blight a couple of years ago that has healed itself, but in this case they're going to be all the way trimmed back. Now, like this one right here, if you can tell, I trimmed it back to where it was kind of even with where the sidewalk is, so they're not coming out so far into our area. The great things about boxwoods that I wanted to talk about briefly is that they are such an important part of what we have in our garden. I'm kind of a guy that likes a lot of annuals, a lot of color, and I planted a bunch of different flowers at various times throughout the year. But one thing that I've noticed, and I'm sure a lot of people who are gardening or into landscaping will say, is you need to have some kind of green foundation so that it sets off your annuals or your other flowering plants or shrubs in a way that makes it look cohesive, and you have that foundation to really kind of like set the framework for what your garden's going to look like. So I did kind of have to learn that over time. I got really excited about putting all different kinds of color and planting everything. But once I realized that you do need some kind of substance or some kind of framework to your garden, it really did change the look of the way at least our front planter looked, because I didn't have any green in there at all. I just kind of, when we moved in, I came in and cleared out all the old plants that were in there. Some of them were invasive, and so I had a clean slate. I planted roses, but other than that, I didn't have anything else. And so since these did really well in the backyard, I thought to myself, I'll go ahead and try some boxwoods in the front, and they're perfect. And I have them the size I want them, and I'm keeping them managed to that size. And this way, when I do plant my annuals, it really just looks like it was meant to be. And you have that green. And more importantly, in the wintertime, when your annuals or your shrubs aren't blooming, then you have that winter interest. And in a boxwood's case, they're green all year long unless you severely cut them back like I have. So, but anyways, I feel like it's a good time to do that right before the spring, and we'll see what happens. So this is what we're going to do. All right, so as you can see, they've been trimmed back, and I may or may not regret this, but I'm thinking this is good because they were really coming out over the sidewalk here, and they were way over the fence. And I took it about a foot and a half underneath that, and then from that point where I had the nice green canopy, I took it another 6 inches to the point where it's at right now, and that left me a lot of space in between for air. It definitely took them further back. The one here on the end is a little bit bigger. I think it's because that one gets more sun than these do. But again, these were pretty much already this size when we moved in here a long time ago, and they just needed to be reset because, you know, little by little, year after year, they grow out. Even though we cut them back and we trim them into their original shape, they do grow out a little bit. And so I'm going to be a little bit better about trimming them back to that point. But we'll see how they come back this season. And like I said, if they do come back, that'd be great. I'm probably going to have to let them grow out through probably most of the year before I give them another trim to give them their new look. But I think this is going to be good, and I'll keep you posted on how they do for the rest of this year. And as we garden through our season of spring and summer, I'm sure you'll probably notice in the videos how they're doing. So anyways, guys, we hope you enjoyed today's video, and just like you, we are trying different things out in our garden. You know, there aren't very many hard rules to gardening, and these definitely need to be taken care of. So whether they turn out great or if they don't turn out great, it's an experiment that we're willing to take because they needed some attention for quite some time. But anyways, thanks for joining us today, and we hope to see you again next time. Until then, bye-bye, everybody.